Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. So far we don't know much about Im-sama, and this character is very mysterious, even more so than even Shanks himself. I mean, we absolutely know nothing about this being who commands the world government and lives in the shadows, all the while sitting on the empty throne. But there may be some points that connect the fruit of the sun god Nika with this entity called Im-sama. And there's an even other possibility that Nika will be responsible, and may have to be responsible for bringing about the downfall of this mysterious being called Im-sama. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the possible connection that the sun god Nika fruit has with Im-sama, why Im-sama fears the awakening of this fruit so much, and what may have occurred in the past with Im-sama and the former bearer of this sun god fruit. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a bunch of videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, or even subscribe, and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or the channel with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So now, my friends, Im-sama is probably the most mysterious character in One Piece, and we know almost nothing about this mysterious entity. I mean, we don't even know if they belong to a human clan, or if they're a fishman, Lunarian, or some other kind of race that we haven't even ever seen in the story of One Piece. Im-sama could also be a holdover and a relic from the Void Century that happened 800 years ago. Now, it could be because of the eternal youth surgery that the animenomi provides, or it could be great vitality, or even differently, he could belong to some legendary and now extinct clan. For as we've seen, Im-sama is the leader of the world government, being above even the Gorosei, and this mysterious person is practically the leader of the entire world. But Im-sama keeps themselves hidden so that no one knows their real identity, or whether they even exist for that matter. Only the Gorosei have ever seen Im-sama up close, and it may be that their identity is something that will reveal many mysteries that run through the universe of One Piece. So it's for this reason we think that Im-sama may have actually been alive 800 years ago, and also played an integral role in the events of the Void Century. It is quite visible that Im-sama has a certain rivalry or interest in Luffy, because this pirate has the fruit of the sun god Nika. Because in any moment where we've seen this being appear, there has always been something to symbolize the captain of the Straw Hats. In their very first appearance, we saw that he was actually holding a poster of Luffy, and also some other posters that he had cut down, implying that these people on the posters were targets of the world government, that they would need to take the life of the person that Im-sama wanted. Also in this scene, we see a knife stabbed into Vivi's poster, which could mean that she was the one chosen by Im-sama. And something that goes to support this possibility is that Vivi has now disappeared after the conflict between Sabo with the revolutionaries against Admiral Fujitora and Ryukugyu during the revelry up in Marijois. This fight may have actually provided the perfect opportunity for Im-sama to have the Gorosei capture her so her life could be taken later. Because also, Vivi's father had mysteriously lost his life, and it's been said that Sabo was responsible for taking his life. However, Sabo wouldn't just take someone's life without a good reason, which could mean that the world government may be the ones responsible for taking Nefertari Cobra's life, and then kidnapping Vivi while this mess is going on and shaking out. Another thing that supports this is that Akainu summoned a chief of the Marines Criminal Investigation Unit. Even the Marines don't seem to know what happened during this meeting of the 20 Kingdoms during the revelry. So this could mean that Im-sama is trying to eliminate the people who might interfere with his plans, or might even compromise his existence, because the Nefertari family is a part of the original 20 kingdoms that did form the world government so many hundreds of years ago. In the kingdom of Alabasta, there's a poneglyph that indicated the location of Pluton, so there is a possibility that there could be more secret documents that have been passed on to the kings of Alabasta, giving King Nefertari the knowledge about a possible person who may have been above the Gorosei. And we've also seen examples where there is some knowledge passed down. Just take for example what we've seen happening with Kozuki Sukiyaki in chapters around 1054 to 1056. He's been explaining that there are the poneglyphs there in Wano, but there's also been things that have been passed down from the previous shogun to him, and that he will eventually have this knowledge passed on to Momonosuke. So the idea that there could be secret or hidden knowledge in Alabasta that has been passed down since the formation of the world government is not a real remote or a reach for us to think. So for this reason, Im-sama would have ordered that Cobra and Vivi lose their lives so that no one could discover their true identity or existence. But with the awakening of Luffy's fruit, we may have some other way to reveal Im-sama's existence to the world. Because somehow, Im-sama seems to know about the fruit of the sun god, and even its former bearer who had the title of Joy Boy. Now we don't know for sure, but Joy Boy did have a big straw hat, just like Luffy's that we've seen in a frozen locker. And after Joy Boy lost his life, Im-sama could have managed to find him, or at least take from his body this big hat. And so this hat wouldn't be destroyed by time, Im-sama decided to put it inside a safe that would be frozen and would keep it around for many years to come. The size of the straw hat also indicates that the former Joy Boy was very large, and perhaps may have even been a giant. But as we've seen, Luffy does have the ability to make his body the size of a giant because of the sun god Nika's fruit, and while in giant form, all of his clothes enlarged with him. So this makes it quite likely that the hat was large because Joy Boy may have lost his life while in his giant form, and that kept the hat large. So Joy Boy may have even lost his life while in a giant-sized body just while he was transformed. And a thing that makes me wonder is the hat being kept at a cold temperature because it's being frozen at that size? Because we have seen that in some cases of devil fruits, the effects remain after the user has lost their life. However, if it's something where once the user dies and the fruit is moved to a new host, usually the things from their powers do go away. And if it was made of a rubbery substance, the large straw hat I mean, wouldn't it shrink back down to its regular size? Just something kinda interesting to ponder. But the initial large size would have easily allowed Im-sama to find it, and then kept it in a vault for some other mysterious reason, whether it was to keep it that same size or something else. But it could involve Luffy since he is the current bearer of the fruit of the sun god, and also has been proclaimed as the new Joy Boy of this era. This large hat that Im-sama has in his possession will in the future bring many important revelations to the story of Im-sama and Nika, because it seems that Doflamingo knows a little bit of something about this vault, and he says that there is something quite precious in there that would shake the world to its core. And it may be that this straw hat has a connection to Luffy, Roger, Shanks, and may have even belonged to the previous Joy Boy. And this big straw hat may be holding something very important to the sun god Nika. It may even be necessary at some point where Luffy has to recover this hat. But Im-sama, of course, isn't gonna let this happen because maybe the hat has some power, or just even some knowledge that he doesn't want Luffy to know about the Void Century, or even about Im-sama's connection to the sun god Nika. But I want to bring up the point about Doflamingo one more time. If Doflamingo knows about the existence of this vault, it really seems that this should be only something that Im-sama and maybe the Gorosei know about. But somehow Doflamingo has this information, and if he knows about the existence of this vault, then other people may surely know about it. And one very likely group would of course be the Revolutionary Army, who've spent their entire lives studying the actions of the world government, infiltrating the castle where the Gorosei are, and knowing where this is would allow them to somehow get more information, and may have even had this safe as a target. But only Im-sama apparently knows about the existence of what is actually inside the safe. During the awakening of Luffy's fruit, the Gorosei revealed at that same moment that this fruit was a legendary fruit of this sun god called Nika, which shows that Im-sama may have told them some information about this fruit or warned them. Im-sama could have told them about how its former bearer brought a lot of problems in the past to the kingdoms and how this fruit worked, giving them at least some information about the fruit. However, Im-sama may not have passed on all the information about the fruit of the sun god because he may not want everything revealed. There's even the possibility that Im-sama's actual origin may even be hidden from the Gorosei, and that they only know what Im-sama wishes, because Im-sama may not want people to know about their actions and all that they did in the past, wanting to completely erase their existence from history. And it may only be the existence of Joy Boy, the bearer of the fruit of the sun god Nika, that may be able to reveal to the world their existence, something that Im-sama really doesn't want to happen, because in this way, Im-sama, while he's hidden, can still easily manipulate mankind without anyone getting in their way. What's more, there's even a possibility that a small trace of Im-sama's existence may be stored with the One Piece treasure, or an poneglyph that holds the story about the past, something that Roger may have discovered after finding the One Piece, but yet he kept it secret for the Joy Boy of the next era to find out for himself. So the Gorosei may only know what Im-sama wants, only a small fraction of the greater truth that the Lost Century hides. Events that may evolve Im-sama and Joy Boy, and there may even have been a rivalry between them from the past. For as we saw in his first appearance, Im-sama might actually have Luffy on his radar, because he may have initially suspected that Luffy was the bearer of the fruit of the sun god, and that if he did, he presents a great danger to his existence and his plans, because Luffy, when he awakened it, would possess the power necessary to change the world. The incredible freedom that this awakened fruit offers Luffy makes it possible for him to change his body completely and enables him to achieve several new powerful techniques. It was said by a Gorosei that this fruit gives the user a ridiculous power because it's only limited to the imagination of the bearer. The more power that they can use in combat, and because of the fact that Luffy has been so creative with everything he's done with his Gomu Gomu no Mi, or at least now Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, this shows us that he could easily create some crazy new techniques to adapt during combat. But now, Luffy has become a major obstacle for Imsam, because with his power awakened and inheriting the title of Joy Boy, Luffy is gonna be responsible for causing the downfall of the world government, along with revealing Imsama's existence. The previous Joy Boy may have been even a great enemy, or at least presented a great threat to Imsam, but after losing his life, Imsama was able to manipulate the world for hundreds of years, creating the world government and using the Gorosei as his puppets to rewrite history. And while the Gorosei worked in the daylight, this allowed Imsama to stay hidden in the shadows of the world government, so that he could slowly complete a secret goal that has so far not been revealed, but has to be something that shakes the entire universe of One Piece to its core. But with the return of Joy Boy, this is going to get in the way of Imsama's plans. And as Luffy is searching for this mysterious treasure, and could even perhaps hold a great hidden power, as well as bringing the truth about the Void Century erased by the world government to life, this is gonna make Luffy the #1 thing that Imsama wants to eliminate, the next light he wants to remove from the world. Because when Luffy uncovers all of this information, it's not necessarily just gonna be the real truth about the events of the Void Century. He may get to know Imsama's real identity, his real name, and the reason why Imsama has kept their identity hidden all these hundreds of years. But with that, my friends, I'd love to know what you think about it. Who do you think Imsama really is? Do you think there's somebody who's had that eternal youth surgery? Or do you think they're maybe a different and yet undiscovered race in the world? Next, what do you think the connection is between Joy Boy and Imsama? And do you think there's a deeper connection to other things? I mean, there have been ideas in the community about the link between Joy Boy, Imsama, and maybe even Devil Fruits. And finally, what do you think the deal is with the Straw Hat? And why do you think Imsama has kept it frozen all these years? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Well, my friends, as we wrap up our video, I want to thank you all so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.